Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Triversity Talk. I am Stephen Bloomer-Teague.
And I am Wendy Stewart-Kaplan, and thank you for joining us on this gorgeous spring Thursday night. What a day.
Holy cow, beautiful. I actually think I'm getting some color, which is fantastic.
I wasn't going to say anything, Stephen, but you really got some nice color today. I could tell because I'm feeling very pale.
Well, if only we could all get out in the sun like me. I'm such an enthusiast for fitness and sun.
Oh, yes, most definitely. So I'm so excited about our guest tonight. But before we got a bunch of upcoming things to talk about. Yeah.
First and foremost, whether you're here on YouTube or Facebook, if you're here for the first time on Triversity Talk, welcome. Feel free to give us a like, a subscribe, a thumbs up, a heart, whatever you feel best to show your support. We definitely appreciate it. And while we're interviewing Miss Penny tonight, please send your questions because, sometimes we have time. We can read those questions during the show and get real-time feedback. So
yeah, that would be, especially with the guests that we have tonight. I'm very excited. Oh, our guest tonight, her name is Ms. Pennycost. And tonight we are going to explore, can drag open up the doorway to religion? What do you think? Well, we're going to find out in a second.
Well, here we go, and welcome to the show, Miss Pennycost.
Hello! It's so good to be here.
Oh, it's so great to have a real church lady here.
I've been described as a lot of things. A church lady, not really one of them.
Thank you for being here with us tonight. You came all the way from the Midwest. And
yes.
The beauty of being so virtual. And I'm very excited to hear about your humble beginnings. I keep thinking, how did you discover Ms. Pennycost from your regular run-of-the-mill self?
Yes. Well, Penny began as the nerd I am, as a research assignment on the Carnivalesque in 16th century France. And there is this old Russian philosopher guy named Mikhail Bakhtin who has a theory that the best ways to subvert systems of oppression is by inverting the symbols. And so Penny was born as an inversion of the church lady of the 1960s.
Oh, I totally get this. I want to go back to the carnival, though, in this history. The fact that you were studying, what years are we talking about? The Carnivalesque is what year in history?
Yes, I believe it was the 16th century France. Yes.
That is pretty amazing, right? Yeah. That you can take from that time and carry it into this time. What about it made you think, oh, you know what, I can just invert the way people approach religion? What was it that spoke to you?
Yes. So if you think about if we go back to our childhood, watching The Hunchback of Notre Dame, this idea that there is this king of fools who is the lowest in society without any power, without any control. And for a day, they have all of it. They are the center of attention. They are everything. Well, this guy, Mikhail Bakhtin, thought, what if we give this person, instead of just one day, what if we give them a sustained amount of control? What happens to the systems that they're a part of? And so by making Penny something that's not just a once every year thing, by making her preach in churches, by making her go out into gay bars and party and dance, I'm more of a shuffle queen, a two-step. But by doing sustained action, it decenters the power away from the historic power holder.
Wow, that is like...
is this kind of like a historical way of saying own it?
Yeah, exactly. It's a very fake it till you make it, own it, do it, lean in.
Be it.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Be your realist self. But absolutely. Now, growing up, did you come from a religious family at all?
Yeah, I my family was pretty irreligious. I like to say that we washed our hands before dinner, but it was more like we also washed our hands, but we prayed before dinner, but it was more like washing your hands, where it was just something you did. And so I didn't start becoming like religious within the system until my first boyfriend invited me to church. So I grew up in this irreligious household, and yet I still heard things like homosexuality is a sin, all that stuff. So all of that was still in the air.
It was still in the air, right? The attitude.
Yes, absolutely. But I didn't start claiming it as my own, like claiming religion, Christianity, faith as my own until my first boyfriend invited me.
Wow, that is really interesting that he had such an influence on you. Now, when this started to happen, though, and Ms. Penny emerged, what did he say?
He was not in the picture anymore. Yeah,
I knew it.
Everything's fine. But Penny emerged about a year and a half ago. And at that time, I was single, so there was no one else in my life. I'm still single, so.
Okay, good. We're letting everybody know.
Yeah, accepting applications. But when I started getting into drag, I had the full support of my church, which is absolutely amazing. I go to a church that is filled with drag performers. We have drag queens, kings, in-betweens, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful time.
Can you tell us the name of your church? I'm loving it.
Yes, it's Hope United Methodist Church in Bloomington, Illinois. It is so amazing. We like to say we're a place for absolutely everyone. And when we say absolutely everyone, we mean like, yes, even the old folks and dockers are welcome here.
Do they come? Do they come?
Yes, absolutely. We are an intergenerational church. We are anti-racist in our values. We are open and affirming. This Sunday, we're having a drag Sunday where the entire service is drag performers. I'll be preaching in drag. Yeah.
Even we're being cheated. You and I are.
No, we're not, because we can watch it ourselves. So
we're going to be online. So.
Yeah, absolutely. We're not being cheated at all. I'm very excited for this. This is like, I mean, I will tell you, Penny, I had never, you know, I'm gay. I've been around drag queens, you know, for as long as I've graduated from high school, but I had never heard of drag being used in this way before as a, you know, as a way of conveying hope. And, you know, I mean, drag performances are wonderful, but not through this lens. I have never seen it before.
This is such a great way. I think such an honest way. It's two things. Okay. It's very honest, and drag has got, what do I love about it? The humor, the performance art. Let's face it. I love the glitz. I love the hair. I love the makeup.
I love a good sparkly gown.
Yeah, a good sparkly gown with fabulous lashes out to here. But what better way can you think of, especially with people that have been turned off to religion, right?
Yes.
So a lot of people in your generation and even my generation have been turned off to religion. So you're bringing people back to the fold, I would think.
Yeah, it's interesting because folks have every single reason to be done with religion because it's caused harm, it's caused oppression, it's caused everything that we have. And yet, I still believe that this genderless, formless, divine being, this thing in the sky, has this powerful love that is present, and it's doing different things and connecting folks in different ways.
It transcends everything, this powerful love.
Yeah.
That is such an amazing message. Now, with you had old timers, you said, or that have come to church. Like, what has been like their reaction?
I mean, we have drag. Our church is about 7 years old, so we're a new church start, whatever. But it's been a part of our church from the very beginning. So before we had enough folks to have a Christmas service, we had a Christmas concert, and it was emceed by a drag queen. So it has been preceded me. And we have wonderful, wonderful discussions about what drag is, what drag isn't, and what it means to be able to lean into a history of an art form that transcends boundaries.
Yeah, absolutely.
I tell you, if I had 3 questions, I would ask you what drag is, what drag is. I mean, I would definitely be curious as to the answer to those 2. At least, what is drag, isn't it?
Yeah, I think the question of what drag is very similar in my understanding of what God is, where like you can point to what, like, God is everything. Drag is everything. Drag is so multifaceted. It is defined by every single individual that encounters it. It is, for me, drag is emphasizing everything that I was told I couldn't be, leaning into that in such a way that liberates myself from my past and open doors for my future, in bold, in fabulous, in big hair, in all the ways.
Now, what was it like for you the very first time you became Miss Penny, like the whole thing? What was that like? What did you feel emotionally?
I felt changed. I felt like I was a new person. Before Miss Penny, I had so many body image issues where I didn't love my body as much as I should as much as I could. I had so much internalized homophobia and transphobia, and being Miss Penny allowed me to acknowledge all of that and to help start unpacking it. And I also like to say, my Penny was made by 3 people, me, my best friends, and Leah and Taba.
Shout out to them.
Yes, shout out to them. They all together, we were a Christian, a Muslim, and a Jew, and together we made a drag queen.
Yeah,
Fabulous.
the best birthing I have ever heard.
It's like Captain Planet.
I know.
Really, Stephen, right?
Oh, yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. And they're part of your church?
They are not. So Leah and Taba are now graduated. They went to Wesleyan with me, but they're up in Chicago doing their own thing now. Yeah. So, yeah.
Go ahead, Stephen.
Now, you were saying that you kind of discovered going to church at 17. Did that affect where you went to college? Had you already decided on Wesleyan, or?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I had not decided to go to Wesleyan until like after I started going to church, but I also didn't know that the term Wesleyan was a religious thing.
I didn't know it was either. What is it?
So the United Methodist Church was founded by John Wesley, who is the founder of Wesleyanism.
Got it.
And so there's all these Methodist colleges across the country called like Indiana Wesleyan, Illinois Wesleyan, Kentucky Wesleyan.
I just thought it was a name. I didn't realize that connection.
Girls, I'm a Jeopardy queen. I know.
Oh my God, yes. Oh, yes.
Stephen knows all of this. Yeah, because I've heard there's a Wesleyan here in Connecticut, very desirable college, but I didn't get the connection that you just brought out. See, that's why I like doing this show. I learned something.
Yeah. And like, so one part of like Wesleyanism is like a huge focus on social justice and ecology and all that. And that's why I chose Illinois Wesleyan, is because like, I'm like also a hippie in the fact that like save the planet, upend systems of oppression, like all that. Decent human being. I don't know.
So I have other questions for you. So we know where you are now. Yes. Where are you going with all of this? What's the plan, Miss Penny?
That is a very good question.
Are fired tonight.
I have no idea. No idea. I know that I am in the ordination process. to become a United Methodist minister. Thank you. I know that after I graduate from Wesleyan, I'll be going on to seminary. But other than that, I don't know. I'm just kind of going where the wind takes me, and
probably the best idea. Although it's interesting that this path that you found yourself on, that is the right path for you, is now taking you to seminary. You know, so this is what you were supposed to be doing as a child. Did you even have any inkling of this?
No. Oh my gosh. As a kid, I grew up. You wouldn't know it by looking at me, but my family, it was huge into hunting and fishing and like being in the woods. And so when I was little, I wanted to be like a marine biologist, whatever, like, or out in nature doing something. And so here. So
they were like, you know, hardcore outdoorsy.
Yeah.
That's kind of butchel. I'm stereotyping, but it is really kind of butch, you know?
Oh my gosh. No, go ahead.
Maria Von Trapp at the beginning of The Sound of Music.
Yes. Yes. Oh my gosh, yes. Yeah, but like from age, oh my gosh, I think age 5, I would be up in a tree stand with my dad, or out hunting, fishing. I would be going for hikes. Playing in cricks was my favorite thing. Yeah.
But it was all, you enjoyed it.
Yes. Yeah. And that was really, I say that I grew up in an irreligious household, but I believe that I encountered my own, or started understanding spirituality in the woods by understanding that in nature, a tall tree, you can experience something divine. And so by kind of fading into the background of the world around, that's kind of where I found my spirituality.
Wow. I can totally see that. I mean, especially where we are in Pennsylvania, the cascading waterfalls, the trees where we are, it's an incredibly beautiful area. And certainly with what we've had with this last year with the pandemic, it can make one question anything, but you go to the woods, right? And I know you're going to connect to this. You go to the woods and all of a sudden everything's better because you're allowing all that to speak to you and get involved. Now, did you, I want to go back to like you as a child. We always ask people this. When did you realize you were gay?
Oh, yes. I, from a very young age, I was a wee lad back then. But I tried, it was probably, oh my gosh, probably 5th, 6th, 7th grade, somewhere around there. But at that time, I was like, oh no, I can change this. I am determined to be something better, to be straight.
So you were actually in denial of who you were at that age. And did you ever like bring it up to your family at all?
No, I knew that it was not an option. In my household, whenever we went out to eat, if the waiter was flamboyant, we would switch tables.
Wow.
And like from a very young age, it was very clear that being gay was the worst thing in life you could ever be. And so it wasn't until I eventually came out that when I was first dating the boyfriend who took me to church, that I really started grappling with that.
What we're feeling.
I think that's an interesting point that, because I think a lot of people think that a household that is not affirming to the LGBTQ community is going to be like a deeply evangelical household and you're going to church every Sunday. But that does not have to be the case. I mean, it's not just necessarily like a certain sect of a religion that you claim.
No one experience is a monolithic experience.
I love that. My God, that is just really, really well put. Yeah. So you, I think when we were talking before, you met this person at 17. So that would have been, your your call to truth, so to speak.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And when I came out, I ended up moving in with my grandparents for some time because my house just wasn't a livable space for me anymore.
You told them at 17 that you were gay.
Yes. Well, I was hanging out with someone and a parent had seen us hanging out. I was hanging out with that boyfriend and was like, that's not how friends hang out. And it became very clear. But it took several months for me to verbalize it, to be able to put words to that. And when I did, there was one of the people in my family actually told me, sometimes I wish you were a heroin addict because that would be fixable, or a paraplegic because that's at least natural.
Oh my God.
And that has taken me a long time to come to terms with,
of course.
To heal and to kind of, Nadia Boltz-Weber says, when we speak, we as leaders need to speak from scars and not from wounds. And that has become a scar for me, where it's a part of my story, but it's not bleedy every time that I bring it up.
Right. It's not an open wound, it's a scar. And
yes, absolutely.
You can take that experience, because there's a lot of people that have that lack of support and have had horrible things said to them.
Absolutely.
But I love your positivity, and I love the person that's right here before me virtually.
Yeah, and I will also say that I am in the process of rebuilding relationships with my family, and so through time, over the last half a decade, we have come so far, and so much healing has happened.
That's an important message. Thank you for sharing that here tonight, because that's really good. And anyone that's going through that right now, it gives them hope, that they can change the relationship with their family or friends along the way. Now, but your grandparents were supportive of you.
Yes. Oh my gosh, they were, and they still are. I love them so dearly.
Oh,
yeah.
This is such a big thing, though, that you're bringing out here, because often, one's parents, that generation, they reject you, right? And then there's the grandparents that are so reaffirming and loving. And, that's probably why you are so centered right now, to at least have that. They were amazing to you.
Yes. If I didn't have them, I don't know I don't know if I would be here. Because I wouldn't have had a place
right
back then. Yeah.
Right. Right. And that kind of love and support is so very, very important. Absolutely. Now, you had mentioned that you don't just do Miss Pentecost in church. You've done it in other houses of worship. Tell us what that's like.
So I haven't done it in other houses of worship. Like, I haven't been there as Penny, but I do a lot of interfaith work.
You do
so I have worked a lot with the Interfaith Youth Corps based out of Chicago. Here in town, when I am at Illinois Wesleyan, I was a multi-faith ambassador. So my job at Wesleyan was to bring together people of different faiths, different religious, irreligious backgrounds.
Love it.
Atheist, agnostic, everything, and work towards a common good, to help fight poverty levels, to help fight education levels, and to help foster growth in the community. And so that's one of my favorite things is,
of course.
Of
course, you're a wonderful ambassador for that too. Now, when you're being an interfaith ambassador, you're not Ms. Penny, you're your regular self.
I am, yes, yeah.
Which is adorable, may I add. Like single and adorable.
Yes, absolutely.
I'll get you up here tonight. Don't even worry, your pretty little head was head.
Yes, but I also, it was in that group that single and adorable. It was in that group that really helped foster my confidence to like become Penny as well, because really the multi-faith ambassadors at Wesleyan were like my core group of friends who helped launch me into the world. Yeah.
Love that. And you still have that core group of friends, right?
Absolutely. Oh my gosh, yes. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's super important. I've always had a question. We talk about this a lot in the LGBTQ. We find a lot of the time the G's don't get the drag. The T's sometimes don't get the drag.
Yeah.
The L's sometimes don't get the G's. And I'm bringing this up to you, right? Because you do interfaith. And to me, those letters we're all one big picture here. We're all one big family. How do you break that down? How do you get people like within the gay community, not only to be just tolerant, but beyond that, super supportive, so that you don't hear things like, I don't get drag. I don't get.
Oh my gosh. The working across lines of difference is something that I really enjoy, but also I think the first step is to acknowledge that we are all in different spaces, different places, I mean. And there are
spaces, really.
Yes, absolutely. And there are historic power dynamics at play when like the trans women of color are the ones that really are the reason why I have any rights as a cis gay man. And yet the most privilege and the most power in society, like I have to come to terms with that and help educate folks. I think education is one of the most important things because change only happens when we know that there is change that needs to happen.
Yeah, that's true. And with education going forward, certainly our hope in this administration, a lot of what you're saying will be able to be, put forth. Have you ever been asked to speak in like a high school or with younger kids or anything?
I have not. Oh my gosh, but I am so. Actually, I think about I have. I talked to GSA here in town. I think it was either the Normal or Bloomington High School GSA, but I talked to them about what drag is. And that's the only time I've done it. So, yeah.
Well, I think that will be the first of many. But on that subject about what drag is, we just got a question pop up from Jan Lucolia. You answered what drag is. Did I miss what drag isn't?
Yes. Oh my gosh, what drag isn't? Oh, that is also a good question because drag isn't. I will start with a comment that I have received since going kind of national with my drag is that someone had claimed that drag is the blackface of femininity, and that is not what drag is. But the line of thought is that drag is a caricature of what femininity is to make fun of women, and in a way, in a grossly misused sense of oppression, because people of color have faced incredible oppression. Women of color have faced incredible oppression. Right. And drag is a celebration. So
thank you. Yes. Drag is a celebration. And I've gotten into this conversation with people. There are some people that have said, they make fun of women. Not at all. To me, it takes like the great parts of women, the bigger than life, right? Fabulous hair, beauty, that sparkly gown, and it celebrates it.
Yeah.
And what makes it so unique is it is a different perspective. Mm-hmm. Because of the gender of the person doing it. Absolutely. So it's a different take. It's a different perspective. And in terms of entertainment, it is probably one of the best ways to use entertainment. I mean, come on, is there anything better than a great drag performance?
Yes.
And you're using it in a religious way.
Right.
But it works. You know, we don't want fire and brimstone.
Yeah.
You know, we want the word from above to come through and just be happy and celebrate each one of us.
Yes. I don't want Bible thumping. I want bass bumping. Like,
I love that. I don't want Bible thumping. I want face beating.
Yeah, exactly. Paint
So,
it, you know.
That's right. Yeah. Face painting. So, do you go to your church every Sunday?
I do. I actually work at the church. I am the director of operations at Hope Church. So I help record sermons. I do the communications. Before the kids here went back to school, we identified a need for remote learning, a remote learning space. Yeah. So we cleared out our sanctuary and lined the windows with tables. And we had 25 kids Monday through Friday here learning who would have fallen through the cracks of the academic systems.
That's incredible. What a great use of a room at a church. Yes. I have not heard of anyone doing that. Right, Steve?
We are a scrappy little church, but
Amen.
Yeah.
I'll admit that too. But what a wonderful use, and especially during this pandemic. Yeah. So in your mind, now I'm going to go down that pandemic path. Yeah. My favorite thing, because you know what, Ms. Penny and Stephen, I still haven't gotten over it.
Oh my God, I haven't. Me and this pandemic, we are not on good terms. Let me tell you.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm constantly in my head saying, how could this have happened? I'm still saying it. Now, a lot of my friends are like, you know what? You need to get over it, girl. It happened. You know, we're all moving. And I've moved on more than anyone. I've really reinvented myself this year. But there's not a day I wake up, Miss Penny, that I don't say, how could this have happened? And what is the wake-up call? And what are we all going to do about it moving forward?
Yeah. How do we look at our past and say, these are the steps that brought us to today, and we need to do something to prevent it in the future, because there have been lives lost, there have been lives flipped upside down. Here in I'm in McLean County, Illinois. We have had 220 deaths.
220 deaths.
220 deaths due to COVID relation, and it seems like it's just another day, and yet we have all these lives that are gone.
Thank you for saying that. And I bring up that a lot of those people died alone with their family on an iPad. Yes. And I can't let that go, and I won't get, and then for that, it's the whole thing with people that don't want to put their damn mask on. You know, I just can't even wrap my head around that at this point. And I don't know, Miss Penny, maybe you can tell me, how do you be nice to them? How do you talk to one of those people?
Oh my gosh.
We got a bunch in our community. They don't want to put their damn mask on. You know, what is that?
It is, for me, like, it's weird to think that putting on a mask is an act of political intent, but it's not, to me, I see it as an act of divine grace, because I am double vaccinated. I have the immense privilege of that. Yeah. And when I put on a mask, when I go into a store, it is for me to say that I see myself as holy, I see you as holy, and I want to protect the divine that's in both of us.
That's exactly right.
Yes.
You know what? I'm learning so much from you. That may be a good way to reach the anti-masking people, you know, that like, we want to protect what's divine in both of us, using that terminology.
Yeah. Yeah. It's when working across lines of difference between whether it's religious lines of differences or whether it's anti-masker versus masker, by identifying, I think it's important to use the language that they are using. And unfortunately, right now, a large proponent of the anti-masking population is the evangelical Christianity. So by using the language of the divine and the spirit and all of that, it is easier to have a conversation.
Right. Yeah, it does make it easier. So at the end of this pandemic, right, where do you think you're going to be at? How has it altered who Miss Penny is?
Yes, it has. Oh my gosh. So I was about 4 months into my drag life when the pandemic hit. So all this momentum I had was just shut off. I was in my apartment by myself. And now coming on the other side of the pandemic, I hope that I am able to kind of connect. Like, I don't see my drag as being centralized within gay bars as much of drag is, because that is the safe space in many places.
It is. It's a great venue.
Yes, I see my drag as being more outside of those venues to have conversations. So I kind of see that as where I'm headed, if that makes any sense.
That makes a lot of sense, and that's fantastic. I mean, yeah, absolutely. So
I'm thinking with little children, whose parents are open. In New York City, Drag Story Hour is very huge.
Yes.
Wow, we're on the same mental wavelength, because I'm like, oh, we should be doing Drag Story Hour.
Yeah,
And Miss Penny from Illinois. And
oh my gosh, yes.
And
so I have actually started. I've been working with Drag Queen Story Hour, the national people, and started a chapter in Bloomington. But because of everything that has happened on my side with the pushback of major churches across the nation, that has been put on hold. But my goal is to get that up and running to help normalize queerness and to help educate on intersectionality and anti-racism at a young age. So
yeah, and to be able to reach small children.
Yes.
Listen, what could be better for a small kid? And they've found this out. Drag Story Hour has been so great, especially with kids that are having trouble learning to read. Yes. I mean, I think how I was when I would have loved to have a story read to me by somebody that looked like you, because
oh, sorry, I think you froze.
Yeah, no.
Oh, there we go. I was just gonna add, when I was a kid, my family was super tight-knit. One of my aunts taught at my grade school. The other aunt lived 2 houses down and babysat us. But reading was such a fundamental thing. We would sit on each other's lap and read a book, whatever. And this love for reading and love for knowledge has been central in my life. And so to help kids learn how to love learning, I think it's so good.
And at the same time, learn about different people. And, it's like a win-win situation here.
Absolutely.
Right.
Well, Triversity is going to make a Drag Story Hour happen, and I want it to happen this summer. So
oh my gosh, yes!
Figure that out, whether we can do it live or do something else. But we've just got all sorts of wholesome queens in our lives that I think children benefit from.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that would be so much fun. I'm curious where you are, Miss Penny. Is it open? New York City has opened up quite a bit. Yeah. What is going on where you are?
Yes, we are. I'm trying to think I don't remember what official phase we are in, but we're restaurants are open at limited capacity with masks and everything.
What about your clubs? Are they your?
Yes, we have one gay bar in Bloomington, Normal. It's called The Bistro. It's been around for 30 years.
God bless. Let's hear it for The Bistro.
Yes, Dan Lancaster at The Bistro. Absolutely amazing. And there are, in the surrounding towns, there's one in all the major cities of Central Illinois. But yeah, they are open as long with limited capacity with masks on.
But it's a limited capacity with masks on. And we've actually started shows here again, Stephen, in New York.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it's really incredible.
I saw Nathan Lane posted something about being on Broadway again and how impactful that was. And it just brings the hope, ratchets the hope up.
Yeah, you know what? We all need to have that. All performers need to have that. You know?
Oh my gosh, there is so much power and hope that lies within art. It is just, yeah.
So, yeah, Stephen, go ahead if you were going to.
I was going to say, kind of changing tracks for a second, I'd talk about how I met Miss Penny. Which came through one of our earliest guests, Wendy, Janice Hollaney. On my birthday, my hubby and I are taking a road trip, and on the way home, Janice sent me this post from the Reconciling Ministries Network talking about Miss Pentecost and being certified for ordination, and a little bit of drama that came about from that.
Drama and a queen, never.
And I was like, well, I need all of this in my life. So Penny, tell us, what is the Reconciling Ministries Network?
Yeah, it is this amazing network that is based in Chicago that brings together affirming and accepting churches. It's rooted in Methodism, but they help bring people together and like share resources and uplift queer voices.
Love it.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. And really, it's been around for a very long time. But the Methodist Church right now is going through this major split over LGBT inclusion. And so the Reconciling Ministries Network is helping churches identify resources within themselves and around them to help get through this time. Yeah.
Stephen, when we had Janice on the show, we talked about that.
Yes, we did. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was terrific, and it was very informative. I had no idea about this. You know,
and Wendy, think about it. That's been almost a year. We've been doing this show for nearly a year.
Since July, right, of last year.
Yes, I mean, but we're closing in.
God.
Amazing.
So, Penny, another thing in that wonderful post from the Reconciling Ministries Network, and this is in the comments, I'll throw up the link so y'all go find it and then click it. It also talked about, again, the little bit of pushback your candidacy is receiving. So can you tell us a little more about that?
Yes. So my candidacy is within the Illinois Great Rivers Conference of the United Methodist Church, which the UMC is set up it was founded around the same time as the United States was. So our system is reflective of the system of the US, where we have states that are very much our conferences, and our districts. And I was certified within my district for going on to the next step of ordination. And with that unanimous certification, I became the first openly gay man in Illinois, south of Chicago. Drag queen that we know of in the conference as well. Yeah.
Oh, that's incredible. Absolutely. I mean, so yes, I am sure that created a little bit of a stir.
Absolutely. And
we love pot stirring. And
yes,
I love that you're paving the way.
Yes, within 24 hours of my certification, there was more conservative investigators that went through my Facebook and found a video of me praying the rosary in drag, which is one of my spiritual practices. And I was just talking to folks about like why I do it and whatever. And it started getting shared thousands and thousands of times. And pretty soon, like people in the UK were reaching out like, hey, there's this drag queen who prays the rosary. And there were people who were super upset about it. There were people who saw themselves in me, who showed support and love. And so there's just been a lot of a lot of talks about drag in the church.
But you seem like you're totally up for it, and it's not going to stop you at all.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You know? And you can't let something like that get in your way, as you know.
Absolutely. And I always try to say that I have so much support within my conference between my my people. And with that, I have so much privilege to be able to walk through this process and help break down the system so that people with less privilege than me can come through it and not face the same pushback.
That's a beautiful observation. It really is.
Take the approach, no publicity is bad publicity. I think about the fact, not necessarily just because it gets attention, but for you, it gets the attention of other people who might have never known this. They see this shared from some really conservative place, but they're a little gay kid who happens to do this and think, I mean, even in sharing something that a group supposedly considers bad, good comes of that. Yes. So, I mean,
Stephen, that's absolutely true. So I'm curious, being that you have embraced Ms. Penny and what your message is it hard to meet somebody?
Meet someone how? What do you mean?
No, because in general, I've had friends that did drag for years.
Absolutely.
And now they're in their 50s. And it was always an extremely rocky road if you did. And I'm not trying to generalize.
Yes. There are people who love it and there are people who hate it. And honestly, before I went to my first drag show, I had all this internalized stuff where I thought, well, I may be gay, but I'm not drag queen gay.
I'm not that.
So I'm better. I'm a better gay. And it wasn't until I went to my first drag show that I really experienced what acceptance is on that level. And so I hope, my hope is that people who I date or whatever or encounter can start experiencing what acceptance is and what that means to be in a community with so many different types of queerness.
Yes, and accepting of all different types of queerness, or every one of those letters.
Fear of the feminine. You can embrace the feminine as much as you can embrace the masculine. That doesn't make you any more or less gay.
Yes, absolutely. I can go fishing and I can put on a wig, you know.
I want to see you go fishing with that wig on.
Oh my God, I'll be blown away. They'll be like, how'd that tumbleweed get here, you know?
That's totally what I want. So Ms. Penny, what's like next for you in general? You're going back to school, right?
Yes, I returned to school in the fall.
Okay.
Before that, I have this summer where we are effectively relaunching the church because we've been not in person for an entire year.
The in-person thing is going to happen this summer.
Yes, then. We are doing outdoor worship services and like starting to like bring people back together and everything. So
that's great.
Slowly but surely, we'll be inching back towards a new type of normalcy.
Our new normalcy.
Yeah.
With our scars, because
yes,
you know, they're not open wounds, but they are scars. I'm a totally different person than when we from the beginning of the pandemic to now, and I think about that all the time. I can see my reactions to things. All of us as human beings has had to like be the game changer, you know.
God, yes, and like I am a huge advocate for therapy because sometimes I sit down and I'm like, okay, Emma, we just need to chat. Like, sit down and buckle up because it's been a wild week.
Oh, that was today on the phone with my therapist. I was like, we're ready to talk. We're about to have some fun.
Yeah, therapy, talking about our issues and like the things that are happening. It's so important. So important.
I agree.
Yeah,
I totally agree. Do you meditate? I wanted to ask you that.
I do. Oh my gosh, I do.
I figured.
To practice this thing called Lectio Divina, which is like you read a sentence. It's rooted in a Benedictine practice, which is a Catholic-y type deal. But you read a sentence multiple times, and you just listen for something that speaks and moves in you.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, it's wonderful. It's so relaxing, and you just look for one word within that that bubbles up and like germinates into an idea, and you see what happens. And so that's one of my favorite meditations. Yeah,
that's me. I didn't even know about that, but wow.
Yeah, and like you can do it with like pictures of art. They call it Visio Divina, and it's there's lots of it.
That's amazing. So we have a couple of questions that I was going to throw out. So we have one from Janice Hollaney, who brought us all together.
Hey,
Janice, hey.
What was your experience in interviewing as a candidate for ordained ministry?
Yes, that is such a good question. I walked into the interview not knowing whether or not I would be certified, because like the language is a self-avowed practicing homosexual is incompatible with the teachings of Jesus Christ, which is so much to unpack. But in the interview, I was talking to one of the people who is a person of color, and he had said, you know, I see a lot of myself in you. And the fact that when I was going through this process, we were still a segregated church. And I would only be appointed to the failing, to the poorest of the churches. And it was such an uphill battle to claim my legitimacy as a pastor.
But you kept going.
Yeah. Yes.
Going.
Yes. And so it was this beautiful moment of connection. And so all in all, it was a beautiful experience. I left and I sat in my car and I just cried tears of joy. So yes. Yeah.
That's wonderful. So the next question is kind of like a complete different change of pace. So Mary Weber Krause talks about most trans women, when they first come out, are asked, are you a drag queen?
Yes,
and that leaves a bitter taste with seeing drag queens. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Oh my gosh. My first thought is like that I see you, and I am sorry that is your experience. That should not be an experience. I think that speaks to the need for education, because being a trans woman is a persona that I put on, that I engage with. Being a trans identifying individual is who you are 24/7. I almost said 9 to 5 because of my dolly hair. Is 24/7. I know, 24/7. It's who you are.
Right.
And so drag is not, while there are trans people who are drag performers, not all drag performers are trans individuals. Yeah.
And that, it seems like such a simple concept, but the amount of times I've had to explain that to people, because I get asked that constantly when people try, and people need to have peg holes that they can put other human beings in. And they can't, the thing between trans and drag, which is crystal clear to me, is just not crystal clear to
everyone. And like, if we look at the history of drag was the necessity to be able to be with, for gay men to be able to dance with one another, because there used to be a law that two men could not dance together, and so dressing in drag was one way to combat that. There are lots of different ways. There are a lot of different overlaps with trans identity and drag, and it's very convoluted. Can be, yeah.
Absolutely. So I can't believe how quickly an hour can go by.
Wendy has one last question.
Wendy, ask your question before we
Where
get
did you come up with the name Miss Pentecost?
Oh, yes.
Miss Pentecost.
Yes.
It may be Pentecost, but you tell me.
Yes. So, yes, exactly. From this story of Pentecost, which for those who are not a Bible nerd like me, it is this story that after Jesus Christ was crucified, all the guys went and locked themselves in a room. They're like, I don't know what's going to happen. Like, I don't know what to do. I'm very simplifying it. And then all of a sudden, the Holy Spirit came upon them in tongues of fire. So all these men were flaming up in a locked room. And I am a flaming man. And they started being able to talk in different languages in different ways that they didn't know.
Right.
Yes. And so for me, drag is my different way of speaking. It's my way of speaking in a new way to new people. So that's where Pentecost was born.
Love it. Loving the metaphor. It's perfect.
Yes.
Well, so Miss Pentecost, so speak to us for one last moment. Tell us anything you want to share with everyone, and the floor is yours.
Any message.
Oh my gosh. I just want every single person to know that you are, whether or not you're queer, whether or not you're LGBT, whether or not you're Christian, you are perfect. You are beautiful. You are who you are meant to be. And whether you come out of the closet when you're 17 or whether you come out of the closet when you're 93, there is a place for you and there are people for you. That's kind of
beautiful. Beautiful. Well, Penny, thank you for joining us, and this has been wonderful. And thanks to all of you for watching. We appreciate you tuning in each and every week. And don't forget, if you're on YouTube or Facebook, give Triversity a like or subscribe. We greatly appreciate it. And Wendy, any final thoughts before we head out tonight?
Tune in next Thursday night. Oh no. Don't tune in next Thursday night. I caught myself. Don't tune in next Thursday night because we're taking a little hiatus because Mama needs a little rest. I'm going to Florida. I do. And then I have double vaccinations. I've got double masks and I'm getting on a plane. Wish me well. But we will be back the following week. So please mark your calendars. Stephen and I love having you there. We love doing this show.
Absolutely. Thank you. And there might be a little change in the works, a little name change. We'll see. But I'm not good at keeping secrets. But anyway, good night, everybody.
Water.
And we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Yeah, see you in 2 weeks, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.